All right, let's talk about HTML structure. I've got this example web page that I've prepared here. You can see what it looks like, what it would look like in a browser. There's no styling whatsoever. I'm just using plain HTML elements. And I've got it here as a codepen. I'll put a link in the description or a URL in the description to this codepen so you can check it out. But I've also got it here in one of my favorite text editors, which is TextMate. And on both of these, on CodePen and on this text editor, you can collapse the content of HTML elements. And so you can see that it's basically a nested structure. You've got elements within elements within elements. And this is how HTML is meant to work, and we've got, the two most basic elements here, head and body, which are always, within an HTML element. And it's a good idea to specify the direction and language for as attributes for the HTML element. And we start off, of course, with our document type, our doctype declaration. In this case, this is the HTML5 doctype declaration, which is the most current at the moment. And I can collapse and uncollapse the head, for example, and we can see that we've got some of the more common elements in the head, and everything in the head is what will not be seen on the actual browser. It's the hidden part that is just to set up the whole web page. So we've got, for example, a title, and if I view that file on my web page, you can see that the title will display on the tab. If it were in a search engine, the title might display as well as one of the search engine options. Then we can see I've got my character set defined, and I have a description. For search engines mainly, that's what you want the description for. And I've also got below this comment here saying I'll add more meta elements. I've got a link to the icon I want to use. You use the link with this rel attribute with icon to specify the image file that you want to load for this right here on the tab. And that's the head. You can see the head's fairly simple. It's really just elements nested within the head mostly. But when we get to the body, we can see things can get a little more complicated. I'm going to collapse most of these. And so you can see that in the body I've got a header. I also have a footer, and the footer doesn't have to be at the top of the page. The footer doesn't have to be at the bottom of the page is what I mean. The header doesn't have to be at the top. I could rearrange this and eventually style it with CSS however I want. And I've got sections within this main element. You only want one main element for any one HTML file, and the main element can't contain elements like headers and footers. And a lot of web pages that you'll see will use and really overuse the div element, div. For example, you'll probably have something like div elements in most web pages instead of seeing section. But using section is just more semantically powerful, and so that's why we've got section here instead. Oh, it looks like I've got a little error in my code. I can fix that right now. I forgot a closing tag for my aside. That's why it wasn't able to collapse, but now I can collapse it. Now in my section, I have, for example, a header for my section. This first section is about me, and I've got different articles for it. For example, bio. And an article doesn't have to be like you're thinking, like an article on the web or a magazine article. An article is just a chunk of content, and you can have, you know, all the stuff you want to display within that article. So I've got, you know, a heading with bio and a little paragraph. I've got another article in this section about me called education, with the different schools I've attended. And then I've also got this aside information that isn't really that important. And so you can see here's one section. Tutorials is another section. Bio and education, these chunks are articles within the section about me. I've got this aside here. Tutorials, I don't have any articles, I just have this unordered list, and then I've got my footer right here. And currently I don't have anything in the header. You know, usually type of things that go in the header are links to other, like a navigation element, a nav element with links to either other web pages or links to different parts of the single web page if you've got a really long web page, which is kind of the trend now, since a lot of people just want one web page they can scroll through on mobile. Or you could have like an icon, a logo in your header. We can even inspect this, and this is a good way to look at any web page's structure. If you hit F12 for Chrome on a Mac, you'll go into the inspect view. You can also do that by going to different things like inspect elements in the view and developer menu, or you can view source. But anyways, the point is, once you inspect, you can click here on elements, and it gives you the same sort of DOM, the document object model, the tree. It's just been interpreted by the browser, and that's what we see here. And you'll have the same ability to collapse things, and you can look, for example, okay, in the body I want to look at main, and I want to look at this section. So you can see it highlights that about me section, and it highlights the tutorial section right here. It'll highlight the footer. The header, there's nothing to highlight because I don't have any content in it yet. And main, you can see what the main area is. And so, you know, if we were to add a sidebar or something like that for navigation, or for ads, maybe an aside element for ads, sidebars and things we wouldn't want in the main element. The main element is just the main content of your page. So hopefully this gives you a good idea about, you know, the structure of a web page, and hopefully you'll when you are writing your own HTML markup, that you'll look at this developer view and, you know, get a feel for how you have things structured, and hopefully do it in a semantically powerful way. Anyways, I'll put a link to the codepen or a URL to the codepen in the description. I'm not sure if YouTube will allow me to put a link in, because I think you have to pay for that feature. But anyways, hopefully this gives you an idea of good semantically powerful ways to structure your web pages.